Nasiyr. Let me bring him on in.
Hey there, Nas.
Hotep. We have Nas here, and we are. I was just letting the people know that we are going to be talking about grow teams today. If they have not ever heard what a grow team was, this is the perfect place for them to find out. You want to let the people know a little bit about what we're going to be discussing?
So, as part of some of the work that we've been doing and talking about, we talked about the seven principles of Ngozi Saba, and we're going to touch on some of those briefly, throughout our discussion with our special guest, Dita Bam. We're going to be talking about how it relates to the principles of Moja, which is unity, and collective work and responsibility. So I'm going to, here we go.
That
And
soil looks so good. Oh my God.
doesn't it?
It looks
That's what we
so
call
rich.
Kem.
Looks so rich.
That's called Kem, right? Kem it means black, in reference to some of the black fertile soil on the Nile.
Oh,
But
okay.
but so we're going to continue on our work, like I said, talking about collective work and responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the pleasure of having one of my college roommates. His name is Dita Bam. Back in the day, he was part of this music group called the Ill Biscuits.
Oh, wow.
Him and Clef. And big shout out, Dita, at the end. I might put up a little something, something, for the people. But yeah, he was in the music industry. He's a capoeira instructor. And
Now let the people know what capoeira is before. Or we
yeah,
can
I'm
let
gonna
him
let
tell
him do all
Yeah,
of
I was
that.
gonna say we can let him do that.
Yeah, I'm just introing the God. Yeah, so we were roommates, and we had a similar spiritual background in Lightner back in the day. Me and the brother still walk the same paths after all these years. But he's been doing some great work, and when I was following him on YouTube, he would show all his capoeira videos, which we'll explain later, and he would show all the work that he was doing in terms of community gardening and growing. And so I do not want to steal any more of the brother's thunder. Let's welcome Dita Bam to Time Out with Kyseé.
All right.
We are not okay.
Go. And there we go. Welcome, Dita Bam. Welcome.
Hotep family. Hotep.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, my pleasure.
So we were letting the crowd know a little about you, but we don't want to leave anything out. So if you can let our viewers know exactly who you are and what you are here to share with us tonight.
Sure, absolutely. Like Nasiyr said, we met back in the day, back in the 1900s.
Some people gonna take that literally, man. You shouldn't have said that.
I mean, it really is literal, though.
Yeah, it was.
1900s.
Like 30 years ago, really.
On the campus of Virginia State University.
Trojans.
And it's interesting because you meet people in life, and some people are for a season, and some people are for a bit more of longevity. So for me to be able to connect with the person I've known for so many years is definitely a beautiful thing for me. Just briefly about myself, like Nasiyr said, at that time, obviously hip hop was huge in our lives, and me and really with the help of him, and we talk about roommates. He had a roommate named Cam, and
big shout out to Cam Walker.
Yeah, so through the efforts of Cam, Big D, Nasiyr, all these guys supporting and finding love for two guys from Petersburg, Virginia at the time, to really kind of put us on and guide us through a lot of things that just, eventually became like staples in my life.
Mm.
So, respect to that brother for making those connections. And he's still doing that today. So, fast forward through the music industry type thing. And then um, it's probably a very common story, like a lot of young men uh, become a part of the music industry, you go through it, and then at some point that doesn't last forever. So it's like, what do you do? So me, I went back to school. I started studying fine arts. Met my wife. She got into a program in Chicago. I followed her to Chicago, and Chicago was a really, really interesting place for me. I grew a lot. I grew a lot with like my art. I grew a
Mm.
lot with like my community activism and those types of things. So one of the things we did is we did a lot of community gardening. Yes, sir.
You grew because you came back with a whole family too.
Oh, absolutely. Three new people looking just like me.
Big
But
shout out to your son. It was his birthday yesterday, right?
Oh,
oh
happy
yeah,
belated
yeah. My
birthday.
my
How old is
oldest
he?
turned 18
Oh,
recently.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep my friend, like, we don't crack. You know.
So one of the things I'll make this point is one of the things that because I went to Chicago, I had no friends, no family, no nothing. But what it's a um it's a Steel Pulse song called "The Prodigal Son,"
Mm.
Mhm.
and in that song it says, "You left, but you took your culture with you."
Mm.
So to me, that's always been like a staple for me. I don't feel afraid to go different places because I bring my culture with me, and I know that there's people. No matter where I'm at, I'm gonna meet the right people.
Yes,
Because I'm doing the
yes.
right things. If you're doing the
Mhm,
right things, you're
mhm.
gonna meet the right people.
That's true.
So,
Absolutely.
um, doing uh, started Capoeira in Virginia, was able to go to Chicago and train with world renowned practitioners of Capoeira. We I really got into gardening. I was working at this nonprofit, and part of the nonprofit they had a community garden, and I would go and sit. There was a older Mexican gentleman by the name of Miguel, and I would go and sit with Miguel whatever free time I would have, and Miguel would show me things and teach me things. I mean, Miguel was out there. He was growing sugar cane in Chicago.
Wow,
He was
really?
growing. He had.
Oh, no,
Wow.
he don't have to worry about ice, do he, brother?
I don't know. That's something to think about.
Oh boy.
Well, to be honest, I was born in Germany, so I make the joke that ICE might snap me up and send me back to Germany. I don't speak the language. I don't know nobody there. It's not.
Ew. Oh boy.
That's funny. That's funny.
But
I'll send some dudes to make sure your house is well taken care of, brother. Don't worry.
so in Chicago with the gardening scene was very educational to me because it was like um, learning from somebody. And Miguel said when he was a kid, he lived so far out in the bush
Mhm.
that the first time he saw a truck, like a truck, he thought it was a monster.
Wow.
He
Wow.
said he had never seen a truck before. It was just donkeys and walking.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is
He
this
was
is a
in the cut
person
of
in my
Mexico.
lifetime. Huh? Say again?
He was in the cut of Mexico.
He was in the cup
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah, yeah.
real.
For
But
real,
saying
for
all
Mm-mm.
real.
that to say is I got a really good education. I learned
All around it. Mhm.
th- this is funny. This is something I just thought about. So it would be this group of little old lady Mexican ladies, and they would come through the garden. They wouldn't necessarily pick your stuff, but they would like go around the perimeter of the garden. They would have bags, and they would be putting stuff in the bag. And I'm like, what are they picking? And so Miguel showed me. Well, Miguel showed me one day this plant, and we had been pulling it out of the garden as a weed,
Mm.
but they eat it. It's
Yeah,
something that
It's a
they
lot of
eat
weeds like
in
that.
Mexico.
There's a lot of ways
Right,
like that
right, right,
around.
right. So
Mhm.
that just started. Now I'm starting to think. about plants in a different way. I'm like, oh, okay, things that we consider a weed.
Yep.
Perfect example, dandelions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The reason that dandelions are so prolific in America is because the immigrants would come and they brought dandelions with them. Dandelions is a plant you can eat the whole thing, the flowers, the leaves, the roots, and people wouldn't have like grass. They would have fields of dandelions in their yard. So just this whole process had started me thinking differently about even the things that we would commonly just walk past,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, as actual food, sustainable food sources. So, with that, kick it back a little bit further. Um, I've had a plant-based diet well over 25 years now,
Wow,
pushing
really?
almost 30 years. Um, stuff like that. It's just early on, messing with Nasir, we cracking books open. I mean, we would be those guys that was walking around campus with books in our pockets, and studying. And that just really was a good education for me because it helped me it taught me how to research,
Mm-hmm.
how to really
Mm-hmm.
think, globally, think bigger than my limited experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, by the time I got to Chicago with all the different things that I was interested in, art, the fine arts, martial arts, sustainability and those types of things, it was really a good, kind of a good learning, crucible for me to kind of have that opportunity and, kind of develop knowledge, based off of, experiences, experiential, activities, engaging in the actual getting into the garden. I'll tell you a quick story. Chicago. So my wife, was a school teacher in Chicago. And during that time, it seemed like every summer the teachers unions would go on strike. Once the teachers unions go on strike, they're immediately not getting paid through the summer, yada, yada, yada. So it was this one
Yeah.
summer that that's what happened. She wasn't getting paid during the summer. I was just working at this, nonprofit. I'm not making huge amounts of money. And so we were tight. So what I did this entire summer is I got into that community garden and we basically supplemented, our living, our, being able to feed ourselves
Mm.
based off of the
Mm.
garden. I made so much pasta sauce. Pasta noodles are cheap, right?
Mm-hmm.
But harvesting and growing tomatoes, basil, garlic, onions, all the things, all the ingredients. And that's what I learned from, um, community gardening. It's like growing what you eat, growing ingredients that then you can finding ways to preserve it. We were making tons, and I mean, I was making the biggest pot I could find of spaghetti sauce, and I would make up a batch of spaghetti sauce, can it, freeze it, and that literally saved my family through a very difficult time. And that's the
Mm.
power
Right.
of community garden, the power of having that knowledge
Yeah.
that intrinsic knowledge that our ancestors, fought so hard to
Yes.
bring to, the wilderness of North America, and
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
I feel blessed and encouraged most of the time because I'm following in, standing on the shoulders of giants, so to speak,
That's what we do.
in that respect.
Yep.
So,
Hey, Dina.
yes, sir.
So, couple things I want to mention. First of all, we was poor, right? We was broke in certain parts of college, right?
Sure.
Living off campus and living on our own. Man, I didn't know we could be eating weeds. We could have
So
been eating weeds the
imagine
whole
if we had
time.
that knowledge back then.
Oh, we didn't have that
Yeah,
knowledge back
right.
then.
No.
We
Yeah.
definitely didn't have that knowledge.
When and
No.
so the funny thing is like, like I said, my son's 18 years old, right? My oldest. Then I have a 12-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. That's just their normal life.
Right.
You know what I'm
Good
saying?
for
So that's the
them. Good
power
for
of this
them.
information where
Hmm.
it's just like,
You don't
and,
ever have to be hungry, brother, like we was, right?
Right.
the planet provides,
That's it. It does.
Right.
Amen.
you know.
So another thing, I got a story for both of y'all, similar to yours, kind of, Dita. So Kyseé, when I was married, right?
Mm-hmm. Which
Um,
time? We married twice, right?
let's not go there, okay?
No, I mean I'm being. Oh,
Yeah. So on my second go around,
okay.
I remember, my wife at the time,
I knocked it out the park.
her parents came over from Germany. They're
Mm-hmm.
from Germany and whatnot, right?
Mm. Uh-huh.
And I remember they were looking through the yard, and I think that we was about to start spraying like the chemicals and stuff
Oh.
on the grass. And her mom came out and was like, "What are you doing?" In the German way, right? You know,
What are you doing?
no, that's
All
salad.
hard.
That's salad, right? Salad. That's the German word for salad.
Oh,
Salad,
right, right.
right? So I'm like, no, that's weed, right? But no, it was food.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And if the family actually, or maybe I'll pull it up if I can find it here. You
I
know,
see one in
um,
my backyard all the time. I know it's a weed that people eat. I don't know the name of it though.
so
Mhm.
so in but like the dandelion that he talked about, it's actually extremely nutritious.
Absolutely.
It's very nutritious, right? So, it has I'm just trying to find something on it, but and maybe we show it later if I can't do it
I can always
now.
put it in like when I edit right here, I could put it on the big
Yeah.
roll.
But one of the things, Dee, that I learned about the dandelions, right, is that um, not only can you just like make like dandelion
Oh wait,
tea.
no, this is not what I thought. Oh, these little furry things.
No, 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 not the
Mullet.
furry ones.
You're probably thinking about mullet.
Yeah.
I see a common
They look like
dandelion.
them,
It
but
looks
you
like
don't
with
want the ones
fur.
with the fur, right?
Oh, you want the yellow ones?
Yes. So
Okay.
the ones with the fur are the seeds. So, which is part of
Oh,
the story, Kyseé,
I'm sorry.
because I'm out there pulling. And first, she's like, "Don't use chemicals. You can
Right.
pull them out." I'm like, "Well, I don't want these things in my grass, right?"
Hmm.
And so, me and the kids is out in the yard pulling out by hand the dandelions, and then one of them sees the furry things, right?
Hmm.
Now I'm trying to get rid of them, but
Oh.
as kids, let's see, laughing, right? We all go, and all the seeds just spread everywhere. And the
Sure.
kids was having a good time, but I was mad.
Because now that's really gonna grow.
But another thing about the dandelion that I learned, and we're gonna get into soil preparation, with Dita, and he's gonna give us some insights. But one of the things that I learned is that when you see a dandelion pop up in your yard,
Hmm.
it is nature's way of saying that the soil is really compact, and the dandelion is going to loosen it up for you.
Oh, okay.
So one of the
Also,
problems that I had in my garden is I have really compact soil. So I need some tips from you, brother, on that. But go ahead.
also, just I don't know if you guys have a Whole Foods in your area.
Hmm. Hmm.
Go in Whole Foods, and they will have dandelion greens. It's one of the most expensive
I
greens
was going to say, how
that
much
they
is it,
sell,
brother? How much is it?
Yeah.
and it's in your backyard. I'm like, this is hilarious.
You picked those up plenty of days getting rid of them.
Well, they
For
already
real.
selling water to us. Now, what you expect,
This is
right?
this is
So,
true.
This
This
is
is
true.
true. Good point. Good point.
All right.
Good point. So I don't want to get away from time. I'm excited to hear some tips and tricks.
Yeah, so let me
Now,
pull
you got
something
some. What
up.
you got for us over there, Nasir?
Yeah, because I want to tee the brother up.
I know we can. This can get
So
we
so
can
we
get
can
fun. Me talking
okay.
forever.
Yeah, here we go. So one of the things that I want to do, it looks like
Mm-hmm.
my thing is regenerating here. Hold on. So one of the things, Dita, is when we go out, we just want to start throwing stuff in the ground,
Right.
right? And obviously, that's probably not the right way to go about it. And so I'm going to share this slide with the family and tell us, you know, is there something that we need to do, or what do we need to do before we start throwing in seeds? Is what do we need to do about the ground
Oh
based on
yeah,
the type of soil we have?
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
very good point. Very good point. So what, dirt is
Can you see the slide, brother?
yeah.
Sorry to cut you. Okay.
So yeah, no, this is a wonderful place to start because
Mhm.
what you're growing your plants in is basically important. It's the foundation, right? So we look at if we think about it, and even from your chart, light sandy soil, and then down to uh, soil. I can't really
Let's say
Yeah, it
peaty
says
soil. Soil.
pasty soil.
pasty
Is that
soil,
pasty or
Peaty soil,
that's
peaty.
peaty soil? Yeah, peaty
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 soil.
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 Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. So,
Yeah,
and I'll
alkaline.
explain that. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you got dirt. Dirt is the earth without nutrients, right? So we see dirt all around us. It's
Mm-hmm.
the lighter, um, you know, stuff that easily dries out, blows around. That's dirt. Then you have soil,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
right? Plants thrive in soil because soil has organic material in it. And so, soil quality to get quality produce is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, as far as like when you're setting up, particularly, so what you can do, it depends on where you live, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like your soil quality. What you can do is you can get your soil tested. It's always, if you're going to plant directly into the ground, it's worth getting your soil tested, and most places have um, the ability to do that for free.
Oh, that's
Um,
free is good.
What you mean, like as far as acid and alkaline? What do
right.
you
So
mean tested?
they'll test your soil to see if it has any like contaminants in it.
Oh, okay.
Like an
Because
old oil
like,
tanker, right?
I
well, yeah,
got
like
you.
particularly like if you're growing in cities, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so let's say you
Mm-hmm.
live in a city and you're like, I got a
Yeah.
backyard. I want to grow in my backyard. You don't know, historically what existed on that area before you.
Yes.
It might
Yes.
have been a steel mill, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it might have a lot of contaminants in your soil.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So it's always worth uh, figuring out how you can get your soil tested. And like I said, most places have where you can get your soil tested for free. Um, you want to
Do
look
you
at
can you recommend any places where we can get soil tested? Are there
You could
like some?
probably ask ChatGPT that.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
you just Google it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most places have like, people sitting around like waiting to do that. Like that's
It's
literally
like testing your pool water. They test it for free, right?
right.
Because they want you to buy something from them.
Right. So, well, but the key is to like you can almost do a visual inspection. If your soil's like the top, you know, it's not really that great. If it's at the bottom, and it's certain things that'll grow in it, and it'll add nutrients to it. But ultimately, you want to have a very dark, loomy, active soil. So, what I always recommend is, like I said, you can plant directly in your ground, but get your stuff tested.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like you're fighting because if you have grass there, then you're going to have to fight the grass. Da 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 da. I do raised beds
Mm.
because it's easier to kind of know what you're growing your stuff in.
Right.
Right.
So you have like the substrate or the stuff that you're growing your plants in. And obviously, there's many, many different ways to grow things. You can grow things hydroponically, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
water and you're adding
Mm-hmm.
the nutrients in the water. But simple backyard people, who have a space. If you're in an urban area and you have limited space, there's ways of doing that. And to me, the best way is to create raised beds. And there's ways of doing that. One of my favorite ways of doing that is called lasagna gardening.
Hmm.
And so you can take, so let's say I'm gonna put in a couple more raised beds in my backyard this year, and it's just a way of layering. You start with cardboard, that's a weed barrier. You
Ah.
put sticks on top of it, bigger sticks, smaller sticks, leaves,
Ah.
uh, topsoil.
So this is all organic material
Yes.
that
So,
we probably put on the curb anyway.
Mm-hmm.
oh, absolutely, right.
Yep.
Okay. So
Free,
don't put it on the curb, people.
Mm-hmm.
free. I wish I could take y'all in my backyard and walk y'all around and show you, because I have, I compost as well.
Oh yeah, you have the worm farm.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too when we get a
So
minute.
not, I don't do worm farms, but I just compost. The
Okay.
worm. So and I have different like levels of how I
Mm-hmm.
do it, but um, the key is that just like we were talking about things that we thought were weeds, now
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
realize it's stuff you can eat. Stuff that we
Yeah.
thought was trash, now we're realizing that it's like free money. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you go to the store and and buy a bag of compost. You're going to be paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, finding these free local, like every year, when my trees lose their leaves, I make a pile. When I cut my grass, I save my grass clippings. Um,
Really?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a couple compost composters that I made out of trash cans, which is very simple. You can take just your average black trash can, drill holes in it, put the lid on, and I do that with my table scraps. When we're cutting up veggies,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so all that goes into a bucket, and then we take the buckets and put them into the composters, and so
How do
I'm
you're
sorry.
creating this organic matter, then
Uh-huh.
you put into your soil when you're growing. So every year when I put plants in, I'll do a layer of compost. So all this is free, local resources that we all can plug into and start. It's just effort.
Mm-hmm.
It's like making a cake, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go to the store and buy a cake, or you can follow the recipe to make the cake. It's just knowing the patterns, plugging them in, and then reaping the benefits of it.
Yes.
so Dina,
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you, brother.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm big on definitions. I'm the square one in the room.
Right.
We keep talking about this thing called organic. How would you define organic in your own words?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So organic generally speaks to how you're growing things, and how you're treating the plants once they grow. So organic just means that you're using natural processes, right? So my soil amendments are
Mm-hmm.
from natural sources. So you can amend your soil with like nitrogen and carbon that you purchase as chemicals. So everything is made out of chemicals. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
figures out most of the time uh, when we're using like chemical additives and stuff like that, they usually come from the petroleum industry. So they're just kind of breaking things down to the basic components and then reorganizing the atoms and stuff. Um,
But they're not putting gas in there, right? Gas or oil in there, or are
it's
they?
like it's the component. It's like you can
They
take
have to use the gas to break it down or something like that.
right, you
Gas?
mix it with
Yeah, when you're
sodium
making like
and
yeah,
acids, and it pulls
Okay.
certain
mm-hmm.
things out.
But it's still like plant based.
So with with organic, so if you had like your on your chart, the last one is peaty soil. So
Right.
peat moss is organic materials that's in a bog for centuries, and it's just stewing and cooking and doing the natural alchemy, and then it turns into that gold, which is a very nutrient dense
Hey,
material.
are you going to tell me not to throw out the peat either, brother?
The what?
The peat. I got this peat grown in the front of my house on the side. That's in the shade, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's hugging the blocks, outside of one of my beds out there, my plant beds out there.
Is
But
that the
you're
same peak
saying
though?
don't throw that stuff away either?
Peat. So that sounds like moss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
peat moss.
Well, when
Yeah,
you say peat, I
I see
think
that
of
in a
peat
lot of
moss.
recipes for
peat
house
moss.
plants.
So like that, you can take and compost it. You
Oh,
know.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
But don't
So,
throw
but
it away, right?
Mm-mm.
I
That's what
wouldn't.
I'm hearing.
But so the difference between, when we say organic, we're saying that the soil amendments are from, like I'm saying, the compost and those types of things, and then even like your pesticides come from like organic. There's certain pesticides that you can use that are usually plant-based derivatives.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ones I use quite a bit, well, two is called diatomaceous earth and neem oil.
Oh, I love neem oil. I have some of that.
Yeah, so those are so it's not saying that you're not protecting your plants, but you're using, you know, natural sources,
Right.
where it's like only one or two steps of processing the thing,
It's
as
Mm-hmm.
not
opposed
harmful
to the
chemicals.
whole
Right.
chemical process, you know. So that's what we
Okay.
mean when we say organic versus, I guess they say conventional nowadays. It's like because it's such a part of the process of producing food that those things are conventional, and then organic is has to be a distinction.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this, brother, right?
Yes, sir.
And a lot of times this is Nasir's way of composting. And you may have to correct me. Both of y'all might jump on me when I tell you what I do.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So sometimes, like I'm cleaning out the sink and I got, food waste in the sink, right? I never just throw that stuff in the garbage, right? I'll go grab a handful of something and I throw it in the yard, or I walk on the side of my house where I have my garden and I'll throw it in there. Or if
That's
I have
composting.
leftover, onion peels, banana peels, and food
I'm thinking what
waste, right?
that's all composting. Mm-hmm.
Is that
Sure.
composting, brother?
Yep. So that's like it's like a more direct way. It's all gonna break down.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that's a
So I can
valid
do that.
way of doing it.
I'm not being no dirty dude just throwing
No, that's
garbage
not.
outside
That's
the
what you
house.
do when you compost. You pay. Well, I know when I had my worms, I couldn't put everything in the compost because you can't put like acidic stuff in there. But I basically was just throwing the garbage in there,
Right.
eggshells, all the fruit. You
Right.
know.
That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
let me
yeah.
ask you this as a follow up to that, right? So when it's time, like right now, my garden bed has been overrun because I got trees back there, and
Mm-hmm.
so there's like some serious roots back there. And I have one of those tillers. I
Mm.
got an electric tiller that turns over the soil because it's
Sure.
too difficult, and I got too
You
much
have
to
one of
do.
those?
I do. So holla
Yes.
at me. You know me, and you
Okay.
probably owe me. Okay, sister.
Okay.
All
Good to
right.
know.
I know how to do something. So anyway, so I have grass, there now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since the last couple seasons, because I didn't plant last year. So it's got grass and it's got a lot of roots from a nearby tree.
So you're planting directly in the ground?
That was the plan.
Right. Yeah, so those are like I was saying before, those are things you have to kind of navigate. So there's ways. Grass is very invasive.
Mm.
Grass grows from
Mm-hmm.
its roots.
Mm-hmm.
So to
Mm-hmm.
really get rid of grass, you got to get the roots out.
So
So
just don't turn that stuff over in the soil, right?
I mean, again, that's why I always
Yeah.
suggest doing raised beds because
Yeah.
you're creating a barrier between the grass
Mm-hmm.
growing
Mm-hmm.
and your eventual
Yeah.
food that you're trying to grow on top. You got to imagine like this is down here, and you're putting all these barriers to your actual plants. Like I said, if you're gonna grow directly in the ground, get your soil tested, make sure it's not, doesn't have a bunch of heavy metals in it. But I mean, there's a way to like kill the grass in the area, and the best way that I found to do that is to put down a tarp and cut it. You got to totally cut that area that you're gonna eventually grow in, that grass away from growing. And if you put the tarp down, it'll eventually like kill everything, the roots and everything. But if you have trees, those trees are gonna tree, so
Those roots are gonna root.
roots are gonna root. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
so generally
Oh.
speaking, that's why like when you look at fields, farms, they don't have trees like randomly. It's cleared
Mm-hmm.
out
Mm-hmm.
because it's basically
Mm-hmm.
plants are competing for the nutrients. So imagine if you
Mm-hmm.
set up a garden in the soil under a tree, you feed all these nutrients into that area where you want to grow, the, the the roots of the tree are going to seek out those nutrients that you're inputting.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
do a raised bed, then you're kind of cutting that connection off, and all the nutrients are being uh the input is into the plants that you're actually purposely trying to grow.
Right.
Wow.
Then it's more intentional.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just things to consider. I mean, the container gardening is great.
Yeah, I see.
Mhm.
I was gonna ask you. I seen some of those at the like I would call them like fake raised beds. Just like little plastic ones that they.
They have these like huge pots. I have a few of them, but
Yeah.
they're like fabric and they're relatively affordable, but they give you so much grow area. Like
Yeah, ShopRite has some good ones too. So yeah, those would be like a little alternative to a raised bed, right?
right,
Mm-hmm.
you
So
know.
I'm going to represent the poor people out here, or the people
Mhm.
who don't have really the funds to. One, we boycotting a lot of people right now too, right?
Well, I seen that at
A lot of
ShopRite. Are we
companies.
boy? Oh
So
yeah. Okay.
I want to ask the brother, Kyseé,
Mm-hmm.
do you have some, I get inexpensive, but I like free, is there things that we can do from
Oh, absolutely.
materials that we
So
have
that's why
around?
that's why I introduced the concept of lasagna gardening.
Right.
Cardboard is generally free. You go behind any store, grab you as much cardboard as you want. I got a stash of cardboard.
I like my whole
You know.
garage, brother.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
cardboard, your first layer,
Yep.
branches, random logs are free, leaves are free, grass clippings are free. It just takes a bit of organizing and purposefully planning. Now, I do that in my raised beds, but you can essentially do the same thing without any like walls to hold it in, and you can build up these layers. And I guess like with anything, you're gonna have to put in initially. I would imagine like a small amount because you want to get some quality kind of soil to start it on top.
So we do need soil, right?
Oh yeah, soil. But that's
What's
what I'm
your
saying.
preference?
Composting, I make my own soil.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
But you start with that. I know I started with a certain kind of soil when I had to do compost. It's like it's really rich already.
Yeah, so
What do
when you kind of seed it with like, you can get a bag of compost,
I think
or
it's
if
like
you
manure type or something.
yeah, and then you
But it's
kind of
not
throw
manure.
that
I
in
don't know.
there. It has all the micro bodies
But
and
you have to
things in
mix
it.
that
Yeah.
with regular dirt, right? You just can't do that by itself. I think.
So yeah, So composting is just like I said, essentially you're creating soil from organic materials.
Mm-hmm.
So my leaves, my grass clippings, little tiny branches, all this stuff starts to break down.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
Mm-hmm.
imagine in the forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
How these trees are like, you know, tall as, as they are, is because those leaves fall onto the ground, they break down, and they're just generating more and more soil for this plant,
Mm-hmm.
for this tree to thrive in. And that's essentially what we're doing when we talk about creating compost. We're taking, what would naturally happen in a forest
Mm-hmm.
and putting it in one spot. So in and that create, and then it's nutrient dense. Like you said, the worms get into it, and then the worms really do a great job because they break down the organic material in your bed. Um, you then when they break it down, they poop out the nutrients, and then that nutrients they get worked into the soil. And they're also aerating the soil. You know,
Every
yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
So it's like worms are really good when you have in your grow beds or in your bed, your garden bed. You see worms. They're doing that work to keep the nutrients in the soil. That's why
Mm-hmm.
so
people.
do you recommend the worms? Because I thought I heard you say you don't use worms or something.
He said he doesn't have a worm farm. I said I had a worm farm.
Oh
You
yes.
Right.
could buy worms for the farm. You
Yeah,
you
you
definitely
can
want the
buy
worms.
specific worms that.
Night crawlers are the best.
Yeah, like one of the nonprofits I worked at, we had worm beds inside a building, and it was like certain types of worms that you put in. We would feed it the food, and they would. You're essentially trying to collect the worm castings. You can even buy worm castings
Mm-hmm.
as a fertilizer,
I
and that
have
Mm-hmm.
that.
Make
yeah,
the worm tea out of it.
I have
worm
that.
tea, and then you pour it on
Mm-hmm.
your plants and stuff
I
like
used to
that.
put it
Yeah.
on my spray bottle and spray them. I gotta get my worm farm back. They
Hmm.
love that stuff.
Right. So, and it's just the
So
casting. It's the poop in there, and it
right.
has all the nutrients. They're breaking down the minerals, and yeah. So,
So what else can we add to our soil? What about eggshells? My mother used to use eggshells for the house plants. Is that okay for like outside in the garden too? I mean, that's still composting, but is that a really good nutrient?
so I'm I'm an ethical vegan. So
Oh,
I go
sorry.
up.
Never mind.
I,
My
I
bad.
just I live my life with trying not to use animals or exploit
Yeah,
them as much as possible.
I appreciate
Um,
you for that.
Yeah.
I feel you
So,
on
I mean,
that.
I get all the great results by just using plants. But
Mm-hmm.
eggshells is something that people, I mean, if that's what you use, indeed, that's
I was just really asking a
that's an
question. I'm so
extra
sorry. I
layer
feel
to
bad.
like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, eggshells are really good. I
Mm-hmm.
think to put in if you eat eggs,
Right, right, right,
why waste the shells
right,
in your
right.
garden? For sure.
Especially, yeah, that's a good point. Why waste them?
Another free resource. We're talking about sustainability and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it because again, like I was saying, I worked in these community gardens, and it's figuring out ways for poor people to be engaged with
Yeah.
it's empowering themselves because
Yes.
food is power. The person that controls your food and how you eat is in a position of power, and when you're able
Mm-hmm.
to give that power back to the people, you know it's it's a wonderful thing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, meeting people where they're at, if those are the things that you have and you can input into your soil and enrich, the quality of what you're growing, for sure. I'm just saying me as a person.
Oh, right. No, and I
Practical.
feel bad. I asked you that question. Like,
Oh, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
I forgot to tee that up
yeah.
to let
Thanks.
you know he is a vegan.
Thanks, Nas. Appreciate that.
Yeah, put
I
her
didn't
out
mean
there
to
like
sneak
that.
attack you.
Yeah.
Horrible. Well, me, I'm not just a vegan. I'm like an ethical vegan. So
That's why
I'm
I'm
like,
like, he said
Oh
ethical. It was
man,
like it's a little different.
he got
I'm like
two
a
degrees. He got
I don't
black
know. I don't
belt,
even like. But how
degree
much more
black
a
belt
ethical
black
can you get
belt
as a
in
vegan.
vegan?
veganism.
Wait, so how much? I feel like being a vegan is ethical. How much more ethical can you get?
Right.
like,
So I'll break it down really quick. Like you hear a lot of people in pop culture. They say, I'm gonna do a vegan diet for a month.
Right. I'm that
Uh,
person. I'll do that.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so a lot of times when people hear or I had a vegan meal or
Mm-hmm.
I got the vegan potato chips,
I'm that
you
person,
know.
yeah.
So a lot of people, vegan is very much tied to what people are eating, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, you can go on or off a vegan diet.
A
So
sometimetarian, that's what I call myself.
say again.
A sometimetarian.
Sometimes
Is that a
that's a
new
new one. I like that.
species?
I eat everything. It just depends on. Sometimes I eat vegan. Sometimes I'm a vegan. Sometimes I'm a
Sure.
pescatarian. Sometimes I'm vegetarian. Sometimes I'm eating pork.
Mhm. And I think so, and that's kind of like it's in the zeitgeist of pop culture, like the word vegan, right? You
Mm-hmm.
go in the
Yes.
store, you look
Yes.
at something and it has a vegan label on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which is
Right.
funny sometimes because it's like they slap a vegan label or like a
That's it.
gluten
Like, how do we even know it's for sure? Really?
or they put like a gluten-free label on something that's just like, yeah, we didn't expect water to have gluten in it. You know,
Right. Right.
it's kind of like it's a marketing ploy
Yeah.
that
I
way.
said it all the time. Like, how do we know that's even vegan? For real? Anything
Yeah,
is. You know.
Sure.
because they be
So
telling
when I
some
when I
fibs.
when I say ethical vegan, my veganism is rooted in my ethics and morals.
Got
So
you. That's
my
how you
goal is
live.
is is
100%.
not yeah, it's not just to have a diet. It's also I don't use leather. I don't eat honey.
Oh
Um,
wow.
You
No
yeah.
don't eat
honey.
honey,
I'm here with
brother?
the leather too. I don't like. I'm a mess with.
I don't
Mm-mm.
eat leather.
So it's more of like me finding ways, the best way I can. I mean, nothing's 100%, but the best
Right.
way I can to consume the products that align with my ethical and my moral
Right.
position.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
I never heard that before, so now I know. Somebody says that I'll have to say, "Are you an ethical vegan?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We can get more specific,
Yeah,
right?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. So, as we come up on the hour, one of the last questions really I want to get out there is when should we start to plant and do soil preparation?
hmm So now's the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I was
early
afraid you were going to
spring.
say
Mm-hmm.
Early spring is particularly for uh, you know, people in our region, like where you guys are in New Jersey, I'm in
Mm-hmm.
upstate New York. So the winters are pretty long. So you can do a lot of prep before. I would say January, February, March, maybe yeah, around March you can start plants inside if you have a couple grow lights or if you have a windowsill. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
I got a good
um,
window for that.
you can start your plants now in preparation. You don't want to put anything out there. And when you start plants on the inside, it's a whole process. It's called hardening your plants.
that.
So when you take them from the inside to the outside, it's kind of a process you have to put them through so they don't immediately die because of the shock of
There's a
the change in
shot.
environment.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I would always suggest people when you're interested in stuff like that, go to the University of YouTube and start
Yes.
start looking up some stuff.
What
But
Yep.
about the
just briefly,
University of Google?
University of YouTube.
University of Google, all those,
All
Yeah,
of
YouTube,
them.
the
Google,
YouTube
all,
got the well. If you Google anything if you Google anything, 9 times out of 10 is going to point you over to YouTube anyway.
Okay.
right.
Like
So
if
you can
you
see a
it's
video.
Oh,
yeah,
you
it's
can
going to
see a
send you a
video.
video. So just
Right.
go right ahead. YouTube is the
Right.
second highest search engine.
Sure.
So
But look up for your area because there's different grow zones.
mm,
So you can Google what grow zone you're in,
hmm
and that'll give you an approximation of like how long your grow season is. in your area, and then you can start figuring out what plants you can grow in your area. Which is like, it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys remember the Farmer's Almanacs.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so those, we can kind of do that on Google now. You can, but that's what
All
those
the
Farmer's
information.
Almanacs were all about. They
Wow.
were projecting what the growth season in a
Mm.
particular areas might have been coming up for the next season.
Oh,
So
okay.
now's the time to start. If you're interested in growing stuff, now's the time to start getting your resources in line. Like I said, I'm gonna put some more grow beds in my backyard. So I already got my lumber. I
Mm-hmm.
reached out to a source of soil in our area. So there's a lot of different ways for you to get soil. And this is like, once I get my grow boxes started, I start adding stuff to it over time. So I just need the dirt to the soil, excuse me, to get started. And then I winterize my grow beds over the winter, and that just means I take leaves, put them on top. For example, in the fall, I start my garlic, so I put it in a bed,
Okay.
cover it with leaves, and when it's basically like a bulb. You know how the tulips start coming up first? It, you know,
Yeah.
that's essentially like how garlic is. So I put it in,
Oh, it's a bulb.
Oh, okay.
Right.
yeah, and then it
We getting
starts.
all type of jewels from this
All
brother.
kinds of jewels, honey.
All type of jewels.
So yeah,
So
it's
you know
basically
it's
like
ready when you see the garlic. When you see the garlic, that's when you know it's ready.
oh, garlic.
No. You said back up what you said. You said you harvest the garlic.
No, I planted. I
Right.
started in the fall.
Right.
Garlic is something you can start in the fall. So for example, real quick, garlic.
Mm.
It comes in a bulb, right?
Right.
You get a bulb of garlic. When you crack it, it has the little cloves, right? Each clove will turn into a bulb.
Really? I never seen it
Yeah,
before.
that's how
We
you plant
wasting all
garlic.
type of money,
So
right?
you put that and then you put that down for the winter time.
Yeah, and then I cover it over with leaves, which is a
Mm-hmm.
free local resource. My trees drop
Mm-hmm.
them, I break them up, I cover my bed,
Mm-hmm.
and it keeps it insulated. The leaves are breaking down over the winter,
Mm-hmm.
and as the spring comes, like I said, I wish I could take you guys in my backyard right now.
So we'll talk about
Time
that in a
out.
little bit. Mm-hmm.
This is time out with Kyseé, right? Now we doing time. I'm putting you in time out, Dita, because we gotta have you back, brother.
Did you see?
Gotta
I'm
have
about to say.
because we not going to cram everything into one show,
We can't.
right? It's
It's a
too
lot.
much information.
And I got my own notes over here that I'm like, and I haven't even said anything, but I'm like, I
She
want
over
to.
here hitting me up on the side, talking about we got to go in his backyard. Okay, so we want to have you back, and we always say, God, you got to show and prove, right? So you got to show and prove, right? And he gonna take us out in the back, right?
Yeah.
And what I tell
Like too
you,
fast.
I
That
set up
man,
my
time.
compost operation. And
Yes.
it's scalable. It's doable. Like it's something.
Mhm.
It's like we don't think about. Like I said, we were walking by these weeds, dandelions, all this stuff. We had no concept of it. Now we know. When you know better, you can do better.
Yes. And
And
that's it. Listen,
our
at
when you
people
this
know
suffer.
better,
time,
you can grow better, right?
we are in the times when we have to do better. We have to step it up, and we have to really fend for
Yeah.
ourselves in this time.
Right. And it's the
We
old
have to
saying,
really come together.
our people suffer for lack of knowledge.
Right.
And it's like
That's true.
you're walking by a gold mine, but you don't even know it. So
All right.
Well,
So check
so we
this out.
definitely have to have you back. I didn't realize that. Look, see, wow, I'm usually on top of it. I didn't even realize that it was 8:00, and
I'm on top of it. Don't worry.
we like to keep it. We like to keep it to an hour.
The
This
God is on top of it. Okay.
we like to keep it. We like to keep it to an hour. So let's go ahead. Let's get into a local. We're gonna listen to some
So
his
check
music
this out.
before
I
we
got
wrap
it.
it up.
Yeah. The important thing is, like I said, I got this picture right off the internet.
I just gotta step off for a second.
You can get all type of stuff off the internet.
look how young we were.
That's
Yeah,
you.
this-
That's wait. Which one are you? That's y'all.
Right here. He's on
Yeah.
the left side.
That's
Right?
both of y'all.
Yeah, me and
No.
my homie.
Oh wait, which side are you on? The left side or the right side?
I'm on the left.
Wow, and look how when we grow up, that's crazy.
That's Brother Clef. You know,
Yeah.
that's taken right off the album cover right there. And so I just wanted to give the brother a plug. You heard? I wanted to give the brother a plug because
I love that.
and I don't know if you'll be able to hear the music, Kyseé, if I hit the button. Let me just try something. You know, so we just, before we get up out of here, can you hear the music?
Yes, I can hear. Give me Ron Isley.
Yeah, this is the God.
That's so crazy.
Big rest in peace to Brother Clef, right? Our brother.
Shout out to Lord.
Oh, rest in peace to God.
Big shout out to Lord Finesse. Big shout out to Kem.
It's just one of those days around my way. In fact, I'ma get a fat sack and parlay with my click and some money tips. Not on the money tip, straight summer madness in the air with the gun just lit. 5 deep in the load from the east side of the field, cause that's where we reside. And this is how we do it, like Montel
definitely have you back,
90 degrees
you know,
in the
hit you
summer,
up,
he's
you know,
boiling.
behind the
Pour out
scenes.
some room
We
for
can't
my
hear you.
Jesse's crew. God bless
I
your
just
life,
wanna
brother.
also,
You know we gonna miss you. But today we gonna chill, yes, lounge,
Yeah,
scheming on
pause
some
this
ends,
real
getting
quick.
around
Yeah.
like Tupac and just rock from
Yeah, I
the
get all
daybreak.
excited
I mean the
for
break
you.
of dawn.
You can't do two things at once, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. My bad.
Well, thank you for the love, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Really
And if
appreciate it.
if you can clear your schedule for us next week, we would greatly appreciate
Oh
it.
yeah,
If you can get us a couple pictures and send us to it in advance so we can show the people like this is what you guys have to look forward to, because I still have a whole bunch of questions.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, right. Yeah, this is like a topic that I mean we can go on
It's like
forever
me
about
talking
because it's
skincare. We can just
but
be
it's
here
so
forever. I get it.
necessary. Like you
Yes.
guys said, in these times, it's so necessary for us to really
So
understand.
necessary. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
we getting all our
necessary.
commercial breaks in while we wind down the show.
Right?
Real quick, right? So, just Dita, if you have a page or something that you would like for us to promote where people can check up on some of the things that you're involved in, you know, maybe they want to reach out on
Oh yeah,
Capoeira
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, they want to follow some of the work that you do on Facebook. How can they get a hold of you?
yeah. Dita Bam on Instagram. My government name Charles Fletcher DeShields on Facebook. I keep it pretty simple.
Yeah.
Anything I know, you know, my duty as a civilized man is to teach civilization. The
Peace.
knowledge
I
I
love
have
it.
is free,
I know
so
that's right, brother.
just tap in and we can keep it going. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. We can definitely do more of this and talk.
We're here to elevate the culture, guys.
Yeah.
Guys, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Thank
Can
you
I
so
give you
much.
one more plug, Kyseé, before we
Yeah,
jump on
one
out?
more plug, but I
One
want
more
to
plug.
also make sure Dita Bam doesn't hang up when I close out too.
Okay,
No,
don't.
I'll hang out.
Yes, trying to get a hooks in you, boy. So, yeah, so visit me and my channel at Community Meeting of the Minds here on Facebook, and there's a link if you want to see us over on Facebook. It's really Community Meeting of the Minds as well, you know. And then I also want to give our sister the plug, right, and her channel because I'm thankful that she has us on her platform,
That's
right?
right. We're here to elevate the culture.
And
Oh,
so
there
her,
I am.
yeah, she is Time Out with Kyseé, and she's got all her material
Mm-hmm.
here,
All
and
my podcasting over there.
all her podcasts, and we got to give her a plug. Y'all got to ask for her body butter, okay?
Oh yeah, that
And
just
support
launched out.
her
Mm-hmm.
business, and
Oh my
also,
goodness, that's
Mm-hmm.
another level.
Yep.
I'm gonna do it right, and
All
make
natural.
sure that if you look in the description for the videos below, if we have some Cash App links, you want to make a donation to some of the work that we doing, we'll provide links in for our Cash App so that we can monetize and grow the channel and continue
Yes.
to do better work.
Cooperative economics.
Cooperative economics.
Cooperative
Mm-hmm.
economics. We all
Yep.
speaking the same language. Okay. Well,
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you for having another conversation with Kyseé and Nasiyr. Until the next time, we'll see you. Hotep.
Hotep.
Yo, life is definitely real. You gotta take it to heart, you know what I'm saying? It's so much confusion. Today on the streets. So for us to live forever, God bless our lives. You God bless our lives. Check it. When I was young, I never had to dodge bullets. My peoples always taught me live life to the fullest. But dragging me to church 7 days a week couldn't keep me off the streets with the evil that I reek, you see. My tongue was filled, I spilled language with profanity. Working odd jobs couldn't buy me my vanity. Insanity was the edge of reality. And when I tried to slide right, wrong was always calling me. The devil takes many colors and shapes. My mind was raped as an embryo, walking through hell. But now I feel twice as stable about my living. The crew's multiplying, so to rest with the vision. Ayo, my vision's clearer. I hear sounds of the unheard word. I seen sex to bring scars to your life. Living days to the curb, reading scriptures never save me from day-to-day drama. Where's the path that you pay for me? I'm still struggling, scratching rhymes on the papers, squeezing scriptos and looking for the holy savior. Cause my behavior is that of one who wants to live trife. So God bless my life. Yeah, God bless your life. Everybody, God bless your life. God bless our lives. Yeah, God bless your life. Everybody, God bless your life. God bless our lives. Yeah, God bless your life. Everybody, God bless your life. God bless our lives. God bless your life. God bless our lives. It's hard to comprehend the days back when we was boys with big wheels, maturing from mice to men, running wild nappy heads with the pro kids, playing Simon Says and tag, but now that's dead. I grew to be rough, you couldn't tell me nothing about the world, cause I was always into something. I think I was the lightest kid out the clique, always quick to heat up beat, because I knew my crew was sparking. But out of dumb situations lies casualty, the skins got knocked, so here comes responsibility. Many of the heads planted seeds for the future to see. Let's try to mold them into shapes that we couldn't be. Friends came and friends went with the wind. Some either caught hot steel and others caught the state pen. Nothing but mayhem, I say to them, we should've tried to live right. So God bless our lives. Yeah, God bless your life. God bless your life. God bless our lives. Everybody, God bless your life. Yeah, God bless your life. God bless our lives. Everybody, God bless your life. Yeah, God bless your life. God bless our lives. God bless your life. Yeah, God bless our lives. I'm steady dwelling over spilled milk. I'm never on the straight and narrow, cause the roads I walk, they tilt. Many choices and voices possesses me. Listen, see, evil got my mind locked in custody. Pressed by temptation, ayo, I'm facing life as a loner in a world with different races. My case is you're pure as a youngin', and nowadays they got me living life out of dungeon. I wonder and contemplating mishaps daily, while keeping my biz separated from the shady. There's nothing but untrue. I prove this fact to be fiction, but still I'm fishing for realism in the diction. While I'm rhyming, some of my peoples are out camping, lamping on Skid Row or south of the Hamptons, doing bits longer than Manson. I think I dance a jig when my niggas blow the gig. So God bless the dead and my peoples in the field. Your word to my man